Hi, guys. It's Crystal here, and I want to welcome you back to another episode of Queerintine. We are currently on Queerintine episode 9, I believe. And like I had mentioned before, we're going to go ahead and wrap this series up shortly. Claire will not be joining me today. I believe she's in Montana drinking craft beer. Pretty sure that's where she's at. So, what I wanted to talk about today is the LGBTQIA WXMNOPXYZ. I didn't realize how many people were completely confused by what this stood for. I also didn't realize how many people were under the impression that the word queer was a bad word or a negative word. So, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about these things. I know that queer has been a word that's been around for a really long time. It's an old English word. You know, if you've ever read Robert Frost or some older poetry, queer is a term that was used to maybe mean odd or peculiar or eccentric. It's a word in the English language. It still has legitimate meaning today. In fact, I see it in some newer poetry as well. And I know the word also started to be used in a derogatory fashion. I know it was a pretty popular term in the late 1800s to refer specifically to gay men when they would try to kind of be negative about anal or things of that nature. They would use the queer term. In the 50s, they kind of started extending the queer term to have negative connotations towards transsexuals or people that didn't have a gender conformity. In my lifetime, being born in 81, I'm used to the word just kind of being an umbrella term. It was around the early 80s that the community reclaimed the word, if you will, which is a kind of standard thing to do in some particular communities. Words that were intended to be offensive or negative are reclaimed and kind of retaught with a different purpose. So the word queer for really my whole lifetime has just been an umbrella term to just basically say, hey, you're queer. You are in a sexual minority group because that's exactly what it is. Um, I know some people may think, well, that's cruel because the word means odd. But really, like I said, the word is just designed as an umbrella term to say, hey, if you're not part of the sexual majority, which is heterosexual people exclusively, then you are in the queer community. So another thing that I didn't realize, because I thought, well, that's strange. Why wouldn't people know that queer is an acceptable word? I mean, LGBTQIA, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, queer, intersex, and asexual. Then I realized that people didn't know what the Q stood for. I asked a lot of people about this for a while to try to capture some data on what people thought it was. People thought that that term, that the Q meant questioning and that the A meant allies. So people didn't know that queer is literally included in this acronym, and they also didn't know that asexual was included in it. They thought that A was for allies. I also learned that most people didn't know what intersex was. So I wanted to just kind of take a minute and talk really quick about that. Um, Lesbians and gays. Typically, lesbian is a homosexual female, gay is a homosexual male. I mean, using the term homosexual is certainly fine, but of course, you do see the words homo used negatively. Any word could be bad if you use it negatively. Bisexual, of course, transsexual, queer, which is an umbrella term. And you may say, well, what's the umbrella term needed if we have the lesbians, the gays, the bisexuals, the transsexuals? Well, there are people out there who are non binary, people like Ruby Rose, who kind of brought a lot of attention to this. So there are individuals that say, I don't subscribe to defining myself as a particular sex. So that may mean that if you were born genetically a female, maybe you don't subscribe to the idea. Maybe you identify more as a man, or maybe you're gender fluid like her, and you say, well, today I feel more feminine, but yesterday I felt a lot more masculine. And I changed. So and I know that's a hard thing for a lot of people to grasp the concept of. And I know that there are a lot of people out there that think it is negative and think that it is a mental illness. But who are we to fault people and how they see themselves? It really doesn't hurt anybody unless they're doing something or asking for something that legitimately imposes on your life or removes rights and advancements from you, it's really not hard to just let people be who they are, and give equality. That's kind of what it's about. The LGBTQIA organizations really exist to offer ways to protect people and ways to educate people, and that's what it's about. If you've ever been to a Pride event, it's lots of love. Come as you are, we will love you and accept you and give you lots of hugs. Somebody might get glitter thrown on them. I don't know. So the Q is queer, not for questioning. You may also wonder what someone who's pansexual is and the difference between bisexual. If you're bisexual, you're somebody who says, I believe that there are two genders and I'm attracted to both of them. A pansexual person is somebody who says, I believe that there are more than two genders and I'm attracted to all of them. You may see that as the same thing, but to them, it's a very different thing. And again, letting people live their life is the beauty of it. I intersex. These are individuals. I would suggest that you look this up and do some more research on your own. But some individuals are born where their reproductive parts don't always exactly match physically the way it typically tends to do with somebody of that biological sex. So somebody born a biological female may not have fully developed parts, both internally and externally, or she may have two parts. I'm trying not to get too graphic here and use words that might turn people away from this opportunity to watch this and learn what all of this is about. But that is a really misunderstood one. A lot of people don't know that it exists. They don't know what it is. A term hermaphrodite used to be used to describe an individual that had parts of two sex organs similar to intersex, but it's more complicated than that. And there's a lot of combinations, if you will, of how they could be developed. And then, of course, the A is for asexual. I do love that it can mean allies too, if you'd like it to. I'm all for allies, totally cool with me. But there are individuals who are asexual, a lot of individuals. And from what I understand, I actually joined a subreddit for asexual people to try and kind of understand where it was hard for them, where the oppression was. And particularly for a lot of the men, some people just don't have a sex drive. Some people just don't have a sexual desire to anyone, regardless of their sex or their gender association, or regardless of who they are or what they look like. And particularly what I learned, what I gathered from a lot of people on the subreddit is there's a lot of judgment, a lot of people that don't understand, particularly when they're men. So there's a lot of ridicule there, and people just kind of assuming that we all fit into this box and that we all are supposed to act a certain way and have a certain level of attraction, and all of these things in between. So I wanted to do a quick episode on Queerintine just to help kind of spread the message on what LGBTQIA stands for, the purpose of it, help with some individuals who may have thought that it meant the wrong thing, and also kind of share the term queer and why it's used in the community, and how it's used in the community. So if you would like to open up a conversation on any of this, or there's anything you'd like to add, as always, drop it in the comment section below. If you would like to open up a private discussion with me, because maybe you're part of the queer community and you're having a hard time coming out, or you're having a hard time with family, or you're just having a hard time making friends, I am always there to listen to anybody who doesn't feel heard. And I would love to be there as a support for you. So you can leave a comment, or you can message me on one of my social media platforms, and you can get that information on my website at crystaldsmith.com. So I thank you so much for watching. As always, I love you guys checking it out. I love your support to continue getting videos like this and much, much more. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, but definitely leave your comments. I always love interacting with you. And again, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys soon with some more videos that we're going to have that are going to be pretty exciting.